then you remember it's 4 a.m., time to get up. You stumble out of your bunk bed, go to the shower, come back, get dressed, and then you shuffle to the meditation hall. 30 men on the left, 30 women on the right. You go and find your little blue meditation mat and pillow, nothing snazzy. And you go sit down in the lotus position, ready to meditate from 4:30 till 6:30. Sitting for that long in the lotus position is no walk in the park, unless you're maybe a yoga teacher or a ballet dancer, which clearly I am not. The first half an hour is doable, but after 45 minutes, inevitably you start feeling some numbness in your legs, and after 1 hour, it feels like there's like a dead fish hanging off your knee. Somehow I managed to survive another hour. From 6:30 till 8, it's breakfast. But of course, after 20 minutes, you finish eating. So what do? You go back to bed. Because for some reason, they woke you up at 4 a.m. From 8 till 11, more meditation. That's right, 3 hours with only a 5-minute break. And this time, after an hour, something interesting happened. My leg, it felt like soft yet firm at the same time. A bit like sashimi. And even if you're a vegan, you want to eat it rather than have it dangling off your body. Somehow I survived that as well. At 11 to 1, it's lunch break. And same thing here. After you had your lunch, you go back for an early and extended siesta because, you guessed it, they woke you up at 4 a.m. At 1 o'clock we were in for a real treat because this time we got to meditate not 3, but 4 hours. At 5 o'clock it's tea time, little snack, you get 2 pieces of fruit and nothing else for the whole evening. Sometimes a third siesta would be in order. And then at 6 o'clock it was another hour of meditation, because why not, right? And at 7, we had a video presentation of an hour and 15 minutes more or less by a famous spiritual teacher called Goenka. But more about him in a bit. To wrap up this exciting and snazzy day, we would finish with another half hour of meditation as dessert. This schedule would continue for 10 days. However, during the whole 10 days, you're also not allowed to talk, to make eye contact, to read, to write, to do yoga, to do exercise, nothing. At times I wasn't sure if I was in a psychiatric hospital or in a suicide preparation camp. But the reason for this is that way you have as little distraction as possible and it's easier for you to achieve a peaceful mind. This form of meditation is called Vipassana. And it is actually the way that Siddhartha Gautama became the Buddha, the enlightened one, 2,500 years ago. And he started teaching it to other people, had many teachers, and a few hundred years it was taught the right way. But then other people started doing their own thing and eventually it slowly died out. But in Burma, right next to India, they kept the pure teaching form of the Buddha. And there were 3 major teachers, and then the 4th one, this guy called Goenka, he's the one who really brought it to the world. Because in 1969, he went back to India to teach it over there, and it really exploded. And 10 years later, it went all around the world. So these days, there are 335 full-time and part-time centers, and more than 200,000 students who practice these courses regularly. You could say it's a Toastmasters of meditation. Now, you're probably curious about what actually happens during those sessions. Well, the first 3 days we spent only focusing on our breath, feeling the inspiration and expiration through our nostrils. 3 whole days. The reason for this is to train your mind, because inevitably your mind wanders and you have to bring it back. And then it wanders and you have to bring it back. And he says, Goenka says, just like a wild animal, like a wild horse, if it's untrained, if it's untamed, it's useless and potentially dangerous. But by practicing this, you're taming your mind to be focused and sharp. On the fourth day, we learn the actual Vipassana technique. And what it basically is scanning your whole body for sensations from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. So the front of your body, the back, the arms, the legs, you take about 10 minutes to really slowly scan every piece of skin for any sensations of pain, stiffness, throbbing, numbness, whatever it is. But there's an added difficulty. For at least 1 hour, you're not supposed to move at all. You have a back pain that's killing you? Tough luck. You have the biggest itch on your nose ever? Sorry. You have legs that smell like rotten fish? Tough luck. The reason for this is very simple and genius at the same time. You see, in our daily life, we pick up information through our 5 senses. But everything we pick up gets processed through our subconscious mind and creates a bodily sensation. Sometimes it's big, sometimes it's unnoticeably small. And when you're meditating and you're ignoring those sensations that are bothering you, similarly in life, when there are unpleasant experiences, somebody says or does something to you that is not nice, or you have a big craving for something and you can't have it, or you have hatred towards someone, you don't react. And you're basically training your mind to be equanimous, calm and composed. During the course, I was wondering, if someone would ask me, should I do it? I was thinking what to answer. And it kind of depends from person to person in which way the scale would tip. Because on one side, there's a big suffering, but on the other hand, there's the opportunity of potentially having a lot of benefit and having personal transformations. If you were to ask me if that's a question that's at the tip of your tongue right now, I would respond by asking you, don't you feel the answer to that question deep inside you?